Have you ever felt that your life moves on its own, as if something invisible turns the wheel for you? You wake up, you move, you react, you scroll, but something keeps repeating. The same emotion, the same confusion, the same invisible pull guiding every choice you make. It's like being trapped inside a pattern that breathes through you, not from you. You think you're choosing, but what if you're being moved? Every movement, every thought, every silence, all part of a mechanism you cannot see. An ancient machinery of mind and vibration. A code that doesn't punish or reward, it simply mirrors. It doesn't care who you are, it only reflects what you are. The Hermetic masters called it the great mind, the intelligence that dreams itself through you. You call it reality. But reality as you know it is not solid. It is not outside. It is an echo, a projection of frequencies that respond to what you emanate, not what you expect. You have been living inside a mirror, mistaking the reflection for the face. And because you forgot that, you suffer. You live surrounded by data, but you starve for meaning. You scroll through the lives of others trying to find a fragment of yourself. You feel productive, but empty, busy, but lost. And deep down, a subtle voice whispers, "Something is wrong with how I see." You were taught to look outward, to measure life by noise, by speed, by validation. But the deeper truth is that the world does not exist apart from you. It happens through you. Every conflict you see is a pattern of thought turned visible. Every repeated situation is a message disguised as matter. Every emotion is a frequency calling your attention back to yourself. Imagine for a moment that the universe is not a vast empty space, but an intricate clockwork of light. Every particle connected to every thought, each moment adjusting itself like a gear responding to your internal rhythm. When your thoughts harmonize, the machine flows. When they clash, the mechanism trembles. You don't see the mechanism, you feel the tremor. You call it coincidence, or destiny, or chaos. But nothing in existence is random. The same law that moves the stars moves your heart. The same rhythm that turns galaxies also dictates the rise and fall of your emotions. The difference is only scale. The pattern is the same. The ancients understood this. They said, "Everything follows principle. Nothing escapes law." And the greatest illusion of modernity is believing you are separate from it. You are not disconnected, only unaware. The machine never stopped. You just forgot to listen to its hum. The truth is uncomfortable because it removes the comfort of blame. If nothing is random, then every storm in your life is a mirror. Every repetition, a teacher. Every silence, a law in motion. You are not being punished, Wigger. You are being shown the architecture of your own vibration. Think of the moments that keep returning. The relationship that ends in the same way. The opportunity that slips away again. The fatigue that follows success. These are not coincidences. They are echoes. Life is trying to teach you through repetition what you refuse to see through awareness. The universe doesn't speak. It echoes. It repeats until you understand. It pushes you back into yourself until you remember. You are the source of what you experience. You are not trapped inside a random simulation. You are the simulator. And yet, no one ever taught you the laws of this simulation. You learned physics and history, but not the laws that govern your perception. You learned how to move matter, but not how to move mind. You tried to change the image in the mirror, not realizing you are the one projecting it. Here lies the paradox. You are not inside the universe. The universe is inside you. Every event, every delay, every chance meeting, every loss, all of it reflects your internal geometry. You are surrounded by your own frequency, translated into form. And the moment you change the vibration, the mirror rearranges. You don't need to force reality. You need to read it. Because the universe is not an enemy. It's an interface. It's a feedback loop designed to wake you up. The problem is not the pain. It's the blindness to what the pain reveals. Every crisis is a code. Every discomfort, a compass. Every emotion, a vibration trying to speak your forgotten language. That language has 7 tones. 7 fundamental laws that shape everything you perceive. They are ancient, they are scientific, they are psychological, and they are operating right now whether you believe in them or not. They were known by Hermes Trismegistus, by the alchemists, by Jung, by Tesla, by every soul who dared to see the order beneath the illusion. These laws explain why the same emotions return, why the same patterns persist, why you feel trapped in an invisible rhythm. They are not dogmas, they are blueprints, invisible architectures that connect the unseen with the seen, the thought with the form. When you understand them, the noise becomes music, the chaos becomes geometry, and life begins to reveal its symmetry. You have heard fragments of them without knowing their source. Energy follows attention. As within, so without. Everything vibrates. These are not quotes, they are formulas, keys of consciousness disguised as language. The first key says, all is mind, meaning everything you experience, from matter to memory, is an expression of thought condensed into vibration. Your thoughts are not private, they are creative. Each one sends a signal into the matrix of existence, summoning experiences that match its frequency. But before we open that gate, there is a question you must face. If reality is mind, who is thinking in your place? Is it your true consciousness, or the program that was installed in you since birth? The opinions you absorbed, the fears you repeated, the algorithms you obey daily without noticing? Because if all is mind, then every unconscious thought is a command. Every time you react, you create. Every emotion you ignore becomes a seed. Every belief you feed becomes a pattern. The laws do not sleep. They respond, always. And if you don't awaken to how they work, they still operate, but without your participation. You will keep calling fate what is actually your own vibration returning to you. The time has come to remember, to learn the hidden mechanics that ancient initiates guarded for centuries, not to control the universe, but to live in coherence with it. Because once you see the laws, you can no longer pretend you're lost. The illusion dissolves, the gears align, and the machine begins to sing again. So before we continue, take a breath, look around. Everything around you, the chair, the sound, even the air, is a mirror. The same principle that moves stars moves you. The first law waits behind the veil, the law of mentalism, the key that reveals that reality itself is thought crystallized in rhythm. But to truly understand it, you must first face the silence between your thoughts, because that silence is the blueprint of creation. Maybe no one ever saw what you've been carrying. Maybe you've walked for years holding questions no one could name. You didn't arrive here by coincidence. Messages like this are not found, they are remembered. If something within you stirred, if this felt less like learning and more like remembering, it means the resonance has already begun. You have always carried the key, and now, the code begins to answer you back. From this point on, there is no return, only awakening. If you felt something vibrate inside you, touch the like symbol now. That simple act is your I'm here, a signal through the field, a way for other seekers just like you to find the mirror they've been searching for. And if you're ready to walk further, to decode the reality behind the illusion, touch the subscribe symbol below and enter this living temple, a field of conscious creators, remembering the ancient code that shapes all things. Everything you see, everything you touch, every sound, every face, it all begins in one place, the mind. Not your mind alone, but the mind, the invisible field where every possibility already exists before taking form. The ancients called it the great mental plane. The scientists call it the quantum field. Different names for the same ocean. Your life, your body, your memories, they are ripples on that ocean. Each thought you release is a wave, each belief, a current, and together, they shape the shore you call reality. You were taught that the world is solid, external, independent. But what if solidity is only the slowness of vibration? What if everything you call matter is simply mind? Mind condensed into rhythm and form. Look around. Every object you see was once a thought. Someone imagined it before it became visible. Every invention, every system, every building, born from the invisible, projected into the tangible. Creation doesn't start with doing, it starts with imagining. But the same law that creates worlds also governs your personal reality. Your thoughts are not silent, they are commands. They instruct the field on what to construct next. When you repeat, I can't, the universe doesn't judge, it simply obeys. When you say I am ready, it rearranges itself around that vibration. Your mind is not a passenger, it is the architect. Think about it. How many times has your life mirrored what you secretly believed about yourself? When you feared rejection, didn't you meet coldness? When you expected loss, didn't everything start slipping away? The world does not listen to your wishes. It listens to your frequency. Everything that surrounds you now is the echo of thoughts you once believed true. Every person in your path is a mirror fragment, playing a role to awaken the part of you still asleep. Nothing is against you. Everything is revealing you. This is the essence of the law of mentalism. All is mind. The universe itself is a living thought, infinite consciousness dreaming in patterns. You are both the dream and the dreamer. What you call life is the movement of the dream observing itself. The more you understand this, the more precise your creation becomes. You stop reacting and start sculpting. You stop praying to a distant God and begin conversing with the divine mind within. The Hermetic masters taught, "He who understands this law has mastered the others." Because once you grasp that all is mental, you realize that to change your world, you must change the lens that projects it. It's not about positive thinking. It's about conscious thinking. Not about pretending light, but perceiving that even the shadow obeys light. To master the mind is not to suppress emotion, but to see emotion as vibration and direct it instead of drowning in it. The field doesn't distinguish between imagination and memory. It only registers intensity. That's why fear creates so quickly, because you feel it with your whole body. Now imagine if you could feel awareness with the same intensity. That is what the initiates practiced. Focused imagination as creative force. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the last thought you repeated today, the one that runs beneath your actions. If that thought became visible as a landscape, what would your world look like? That image is your current frequency. You are walking inside it. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. The mind is magnetic. Every idea charged with emotion becomes a signal, and the field responds with people, situations, coincidences to match it. This is why chaos repeats until you change the signal, until the mind stops broadcasting confusion. Because when your signal changes, reality obeys. In truth, the universe is not happening to you. It's happening as you. Every emotion, every thought, every silence, a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. You are the painter, the painting, and the observer at once. Pause and feel this. Your awareness is not inside your head. Your head is inside your awareness. Space itself bends around perception. The world you see is not the world. It is your interpretation of infinite energy, and the quality of that interpretation is determined by your state of mind. So what happens when the mind changes? The entire world rearranges. This is why miracles look supernatural. They are simply nature obeying a higher command. When you learn to still the noise, you access the code. When you focus thought with emotion, you inscribe new equations into the field. Every true mystic was a mental engineer. Every true magician a scientist of attention. They didn't manipulate the world. They realigned it. That is the first lesson of Hermeticism. Reality is mind made visible. And if your mind remains unconscious, reality will remain random. But when your mind awakens, the code begins to obey you consciously. The difference between a prisoner and a creator is attention. Where you place it, energy follows. Where energy flows, form appears. So ask yourself, what have you been thinking today? What world has that thought been weaving around you? Because whether you're aware or not, it's already taking shape. This is not philosophy. It is the operating system of existence. And once you remember it, you can never return to the illusion of chance. The first gate is open. You now understand that the universe is mental, but the mind is not alone. It mirrors itself infinitely. To see what happens next, we must look at the second law. The first map awaits in the pinned comment. It will guide you to recognize the patterns your mind keeps projecting, so you can begin seeing the reflection instead of fighting it. Everything corresponds. Nothing stands alone. The Hermetic masters said, as above, so below. As within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. This is not poetry. It is structure. It means that the same laws that govern galaxies govern your thoughts. That every detail of your personal life is a holographic fragment of the whole. You are the microcosm of the macrocosm, a smaller reflection of the infinite. When you begin to see life through this lens, nothing feels disconnected anymore. The chaos of the world stops looking like punishment and begins to look like a mirror held by the universe to show you the shape of your own vibration. Your relationships mirror your emotional patterns. Your career mirrors your beliefs about worth. Your body mirrors your relationship with presence. Even your environment, the room you live in, the people around you, is a projection of what your inner world allows or resists. This is the second principle, the law that transforms confusion into coherence. It reveals that what you call outside is only the inside made visible. Every storm outside points to a tension inside. Every silence outside mirrors a silence you've ignored. Every repetition is correspondence trying to speak. You think you attract similar people by chance. You don't. You meet the exact vibration you need to remember what still needs to be healed. Life is not happening to you. It's happening through you, arranging scenes and characters that correspond to your current state of consciousness. If you have ever wondered why you keep facing the same situation in different forms, it's because the universe repeats until it resonates. It doesn't punish. It teaches through symmetry. Imagine throwing a stone into still water. Ripples spread outward, forming perfect circles. Now imagine those ripples hitting the edge of the lake and returning. That echo, the wave returning to its source, is correspondence. Your thoughts and emotions are those ripples. Your experiences are the echoes. What you send out returns, not as revenge, but as reflection, until you see what you're emitting, until you learn to harmonize. Every thought that leaves you creates its own geometry. Every emotion shapes invisible fields around you. When these fields meet the collective field, the field of everyone else, they interfere, blend, collide, and mirror each other perfectly. That interference pattern is what you call reality. This is why the same energy attracts the same kind of experiences. The universe does not judge right or wrong. It mirrors frequency. It gives back what you are, not what you request. Because correspondence is the mathematics of consciousness. You are always looking at yourself, in disguised form. To see this clearly is to awaken. Because when you realize the mirror, you stop attacking the reflection. You start polishing the source. When your mind is clear, the reflection becomes luminous. When your emotions are chaotic, the mirror distorts. And still, it keeps reflecting. The universe never lies. It simply reflects the truth of your vibration in 1,000 faces. Every argument is a message. Every obstacle, an encoded symbol. Every coincidence, a line of communication between your inner and outer worlds. The more aware you are, the faster the reflection adjusts. You are not separate from the world. You are the world seeing itself. And the deeper truth is this: the universe needs your awareness to know itself. It expands through you. You are not a small human staring at infinite space. You are infinite space observing itself through a human form. When you meditate, when you feel, when you forgive, the whole structure of reality reorganizes slightly, because a part of the cosmos has remembered itself. So when you heal, the world heals. When you lie, the world distorts. When you awaken, the whole field brightens, because everything corresponds. If this sounds too vast, look closer. Every small act is a cosmic echo. When you care for your space, your body responds. When you lie to yourself, the people around you start reflecting that lie back at you. When you begin speaking truth, even your environment breathes differently. Reality is not personal. It's resonant. It organizes itself according to inner coherence. And the greatest illusion of disconnection is believing your thoughts stay inside your skull. They don't. They shape the collective field every moment. Every thought of fear strengthens the web of fear in humanity. Every thought of clarity opens a path for others to see. You are constantly co-authoring the collective mind. This is correspondence at its highest octave, the understanding that your personal vibration interacts with the universal rhythm, and through that interaction both evolve. You and the cosmos are in constant dialogue. Listen to how it speaks. Every symbol in your life, every recurring number, every dream, every phrase that echoes from different mouths is correspondence. The universe speaks in repetition, not because it's stubborn, because it's precise. It repeats the signal until consciousness registers the message. Once you start reading the mirror instead of reacting to it, you move from unconscious creation to conscious participation. The mirror stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. This is when life begins to feel guided, not because it changed, but because you began to see the code. So look around you now. Nothing is random. Everything you're seeing, this very moment, this message, this vibration, corresponds perfectly to your state of awareness. If you're here, it's because something in you already resonates with the Hermetic current. You were drawn by frequency, not by chance. This is the truth behind synchronicity. It's not coincidence. It's correspondence in motion. And every time you recognize it, the pattern strengthens. Awareness multiplies itself. You begin to see that within and without are not two directions. They are the same movement seen from opposite sides. So the next time something disturbs you, don't react. Observe. Ask, what inside me does this reflect? When you answer that question honestly, the external pattern dissolves because the mirror no longer needs to teach what has been seen. The universe doesn't want your obedience. It wants your recognition, because the moment you see the pattern, you step outside of it. You begin to create consciously. This is the secret of the second principle, and it's also the bridge to the third, because once you understand correspondence, you begin to hear the hum beneath the mirror, the vibration that connects all things, the pulse that turns reflection into rhythm. If you're still here, this frequency is yours. Take a breath and observe how your world responds even to that single act of awareness. Because from this point on, everything you notice will begin to correspond. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. This is not just a sentence. It is the heartbeat of existence. Every atom, every star, every thought, every emotion, all of it is vibration. The difference between matter, light, and spirit is only the difference of frequency. The slower the vibration, the denser the form. The faster the vibration, the closer to the invisible. You are not a body made of flesh. You are a field of frequencies condensed into a shape your mind can recognize. Your body hums. Your emotions resonate. Your thoughts send waves. You are a living instrument, and the universe responds to the music you play unconsciously every second. You think you speak with words, but before you speak, you vibrate. Every space you enter feels you before it hears you. Every person near you perceives the tone of your presence before they understand what you say, because vibration speaks faster than language. When your frequency rises, peace surrounds you. When your vibration falls, even light feels heavy. And still, the law remains perfect. What you emit is what returns, because everything vibrates, and everything responds to resonance. Think about a tuning fork. When you strike one, another nearby begins to vibrate with the same note. It doesn't choose to. It must. Resonance is not emotional. It's mechanical. Now imagine that every thought, every feeling, every word is a note in that vast symphony of being. When you think fear, you strike a tone of fear, and everything around you that matches that tone begins to respond. That is why fear attracts fear. Love attracts love. Chaos attracts chaos, not by morality, but by physics of the invisible. This is the secret behind magnetism. You do not attract what you want. You tune to what you are. The vibration you hold becomes the world you inhabit. Your emotions are not weaknesses. They are frequencies in motion. Anger is low and heavy, compressing the field around you. Gratitude expands it, allowing energy to move freely again. Shame contracts. Clarity releases. Joy harmonizes. Each emotion plays its note, and reality dances to it. So when your life feels still, heavy, or cold, it's not because the universe forgot you. It's because your vibration slowed down to match the emotion you keep repeating. The field mirrors you with exact precision, not to punish, to remind you that you are still playing the same note. Everything you touch is alive. Even silence vibrates. Even thought has texture. When you think of someone with love, that vibration reaches them faster than light. When you think of them with resentment, the same current travels and returns. Nothing is lost. Every vibration seeks home. This is why awareness is the highest frequency. It harmonizes all others. When you observe yourself without judgment, your field becomes coherent. Your energy stops fragmenting, and everything around you begins to align again. Awareness is the tuning fork of the soul. Close your eyes. Listen. not with your ears but with the space behind them. There is a faint hum there, constant and ancient. That sound, the one that never stops, is the universe breathing through you. You are inside a sea of vibrations, and every choice you make sends ripples through eternity. Every word you speak carries a signature. Every silence you keep, a tone. The way you move, the way you look at someone, the way you breathe, everything vibrates meaning into the field. That is why intention is sacred. It is not what you do, but how you do it that shapes the invisible. This law explains why certain spaces feel pure and others feel suffocating. Why some people drain you without speaking a word. It's vibration meeting vibration. Frequency measuring coherence. Nothing personal, just resonance in action. You are surrounded by waves, and you are emitting waves. At every moment, the frequencies collide, merge, interfere, amplify, or cancel. This interference pattern is what you call experience. When the frequencies harmonize, you feel flow. When they clash, you feel resistance. Harmony feels like destiny. Disharmony feels like chaos. But both are simply vibration. So what if every moment of your life and every joy, every sorrow, was not random emotion but music waiting to be understood? What if the noise of your life is only the orchestra tuning before the symphony? And what if silence is not absence but the highest note of all? This is what the initiates discovered. Silence is not emptiness. It's the point of perfect vibration. When you fall into silence without fear, you align with the frequency that gives birth to form. That's why every true revelation happens in stillness, not because silence hides truth, but because silence is truth vibrating beyond sound. You don't have to manipulate vibration, you only need to harmonize. Every time you choose presence over reaction, you tune yourself. Every time you breathe consciously, you recalibrate the field. Every time you forgive, you release a distortion. Forgiveness is not moral, it's acoustic. It clears noise from your field. It lets the pure tone of your being resonate again. When your vibration changes, the people around you feel it. When your field stabilizes, chaos retreats. When your presence expands, even the air around you thickens with coherence. That's why the ancient masters could heal with silence. Their vibration was medicine. The law of vibration reveals that the world doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your tone. Because energy doesn't hear language, it hears frequency. And what you call reality is only the feedback of your vibration returning to its source. If everything vibrates, then emotion is creation in motion. If everything vibrates, then prayer is resonance, not request. If everything vibrates, then every thought, every breath, every act of awareness is an act of creation. Feel this now. The hum that moves the stars is the same hum that moves your heart. The pulse that expands galaxies beats quietly in your chest. Nothing separates you from the cosmos, only difference of rhythm. When you remember that, even breathing becomes sacred. You don't need to chase high vibration. You need to remove resistance. The field already sings in harmony. You only need to stop playing against it. That is mastery. To vibrate consciously. To speak, act, and think in one tone. Because when you do, the universe stops resisting you. It recognizes itself in you. That recognition is what you've been calling peace. It is not something you find, and it's something you remember. And from this remembrance, the next law arises naturally. Because vibration is not static, it moves. It oscillates, swings, breathes. That motion is rhythm. And the fourth principle reveals, everything flows in cycles. Everything rises and falls. Everything has its tide. Write what echoed within you. Your words are vibration, and your resonance might be someone else's awakening. Type the phrase, I choose coherence. Let the field feel your tone. Everything exists between two poles. Everything moves in rhythm. These are the twin forces that sculpt the universe, polarity and rhythm. Nothing is still, yet nothing escapes its opposite. Every extreme carries its reflection. Every birth already hides the seed of its ending. Every night already contains the dawn. And every pain, if endured, carries the blueprint of wisdom. This is the law of opposites, the divine tension that sustains creation. Without polarity, there would be no movement. Without movement, no rhythm. Without rhythm, no life. The ancients knew, all truths are half-truths, and every half conceals its twin. To know one side fully, you must also embrace the other. To reject the shadow is to reject half of yourself. To cling only to the light is to break the circle and fall into illusion. Look around you. Everything pulses between poles. Inhale and exhale. Expansion and contraction. Summer and winter. Joy and grief. The universe breathes through contrast. But you were taught to fear one side and chase the other. You were told to fight sadness, suppress anger, reject silence. And by doing so, you became prisoner of what you denied. Because the law of polarity doesn't vanish with resistance, it deepens. What you reject, you empower. What you fear, you feed. What you judge, you bind to yourself through vibration. The masters taught, to master life, you must learn to move between the poles without being dragged by them. To rise above does not mean to avoid, but to understand. The wise one does not kill emotion. He transmutes it. He turns hatred into discernment, desire into purpose, chaos into creation. This is the true meaning of alchemy. It was never about turning metal into gold. It was about transforming the heavy into the luminous, the dense lead of the psyche into the shining awareness of the soul. But to do that, you must accept the rhythm, because everything that swings to one side will swing to the other. Pleasure and pain, success and loss, silence and noise, all obey the pendulum. You cannot stop its motion, but you can learn its beat. When you observe rhythm, it loses control over you. When you cling to extremes, it enslaves you. That is why serenity is power, not absence of emotion, but mastery of timing. The sage does not resist the tide. He learns to surf it. When sadness comes, he breathes through it, knowing it will pass. When joy comes, he drinks it deeply, knowing it too will pass. He no longer fears the wave, because he has become the ocean. The Hermetic text says, the measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. It means every high will call forth its low, not as punishment, but as restoration of balance. You cannot have expansion without contraction. You cannot have light without shadow. But beyond both, there is awareness, the still point between the swings. That point is your true center, the silent observer that watches the pendulum move, but does not move with it. When you abide in that center, rhythm becomes music instead of turmoil. Polarity becomes harmony instead of war. Think about how your emotions move. Notice how every excitement carries its fatigue, how every desire carries the seed of disappointment, and how, when you stop fighting the motion, a strange peace appears, the peace of seeing that everything breathes. Even your thoughts swing between clarity and confusion, courage and doubt, but the observer, the one seeing the movement, never swings. That observer is the axis of the wheel, and the moment you return to it, rhythm becomes your ally. The rhythm of nature governs all. The tides, the heartbeat, the seasons, even the pulse of galaxies. When you align your inner rhythm to this cosmic beat, resistance disappears. You stop forcing outcomes and start flowing with precision. Because flow is not passivity, it is cooperation with law. When you understand rhythm, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what cycle is this showing me? Every crisis becomes a phase. Every loss becomes a turn of the spiral. You no longer fall into despair. You descend into understanding. The pendulum teaches humility. When you are high, remember, the swing will return. When you are low, remember, the swing will return. The rhythm never ends, but the awareness that watches it is eternal. So the question is not how to escape the motion, but how to dance within it. That dance is the Hermetic way, to move in rhythm with the universe, not against it. To become the musician, not the instrument played by circumstance. Feel this truth in your breath. Every inhale pulls the world in. Every exhale releases it. Between the two, a brief stillness, the sacred pause where opposites dissolve. That stillness is where the divine hides. When you find yourself swinging between extremes, stop, breathe. Remember, both poles are part of one whole. Light and dark are not enemies. They are rhythm expressed as contrast. And your role is not to choose one, but to remember you are the axis. In that awareness, even pain becomes tempo. Even chaos has cadence. And in that rhythm, you hear the pulse of the cosmos inside your own heartbeat. That recognition That music is freedom. The next law emerges naturally from this motion, because if rhythm governs cycles, then every action within those cycles produces consequence. The universe does not forget a vibration once emitted. It records it, amplifies it, and returns it with perfect precision. This is the sixth law, cause and effect. This portal has a sequence. Follow the thread in the pinned comment. The next step reveals the law of cause and effect, the pattern that explains why nothing you feel or do ever disappears. It only returns transformed. Nothing escapes law. Every movement produces a consequence. Every cause generates an effect. Every effect, in truth, becomes a new cause. The universe is a perfect equation. It wastes nothing. You are living today inside the vibration you emitted yesterday, and tomorrow will echo the vibration you emit now. This is the law of cause and effect, the cosmic mirror that never distorts. There is no luck. There is resonance, no punishment, only return. What you call karma is simply the universe maintaining its own symmetry. When you speak, your words vibrate through the field. When you act, your choices carve new geometry into the web of reality. When you think, your mind sends currents that gather momentum over time until they return to you, not as judgment, but as correspondence. The ignorant call this fate. The wise call it precision. The universe is not personal, it is precise. Every vibration finds its source again. Every cause seeks completion. Every thought returns home carrying the form it generated. This is why you cannot hide your vibration. You are always broadcasting, and the field is always recording. There is no lie in energy. You may deceive others with words, but the vibration remains true. When you feel misunderstood, life will reflect that misunderstanding until you see the pattern. When you act with clarity, clarity returns multiplied. When you move in confusion, confusion echoes. This is the law that holds you accountable not by punishment, but by resonance. There is a phrase that echoes through all time. What you sow, you shall reap. But the Hermetic interpretation is deeper. You are not just sowing actions, you are sowing frequencies. Your harvest is not circumstance, it is vibration materialized. Look closely at your life. Every repeated pattern is not bad luck. It is the same seed flowering again, until you plant something new. And planting begins in thought. When you think with awareness, you seed coherence. When you think with fear, you seed distortion. The field cannot choose, it only amplifies. That is its perfection. But here lies the mystery few understand. Cause and effect are not linear, they are spiral. Every effect carries the next cause within it. Every end hides the blueprint of a new beginning. That is why growth is never a straight line. It loops until the lesson becomes wisdom. The moment you awaken awareness, the spiral becomes conscious. You stop spinning unconsciously through the same experiences and begin shaping the direction of the spiral yourself. That is mastery, not controlling the world, but controlling the vibration that sets the causes in motion. And beneath all cause, behind every movement, there lies the final principle, genero, the law of generation, the dance of dual creative forces, the active and the receptive, the seed and the womb, the thought and the manifestation. Nothing exists without these two currents. They are not male and female as human bodies. They are cosmic polarities. The masculine is projection, will, focus, direction. The feminine is reception, intuition, gestation, creation. Together, they form the engine of manifestation. Every thought you project, masculine, must be received, nourished, and expressed, feminine. If one dominates, creation becomes distorted. If you only project, your ideas never take root. If you only receive, your visions never take form. Balance them and the world responds in harmony. This is the sacred marriage, the union of consciousness and energy. When the mind, masculine, joins emotion, feminine, vibration becomes form. It is the inner alchemy behind every act of creation. The ancients represented this as the sun and the moon, fire and water, logic and intuition, opposites that when united generate life. Every act of manifestation, from art to love to thought, is this marriage reenacted in microcosm. The masculine commands the seed, let there be. The feminine receives the seed, let it become, and from their harmony, existence unfolds. But imbalance has made humanity forget this rhythm. Our world has become a field of excess will, endless projection without inner receptivity, noise without silence, doing without being, and so, chaos reigns, because the feminine principle has been silenced. To restore balance, you must cultivate receptivity, the ability to listen, to allow, to feel, to gestate the invisible until it's ready to be born, because wisdom is not loud, it is womb-like. It doesn't force, it emerges. When you align the masculine will with feminine awareness, you become the full spectrum of creation, directive and receptive, light and space, fire and breath. That is the true Hermetic mastery. Every thought you birth carries both polarities, the intent, masculine, and the emotional tone, feminine. When they meet in harmony, they generate reality. When they conflict, they create distortion. This is the final revelation. You are not a fragment. You are a union. You are both the sower and the soil, the lightning and the ocean that receives it. You are consciousness dreaming itself awake. When you honor both energies within, your will and your surrender, you step into creative sovereignty. You stop forcing and start co-creating. You stop chasing and start emanating. You stop praying for change and become the answer. Cause and effect teaches you responsibility. Genero teaches you co-creation. Together, they close the Hermetic circle, showing that consciousness and reality are not separate, but two halves of the same rhythm breathing each other into existence. And so the seventh principle completes the sevenfold code. The invisible architecture of the universe stands revealed. All is mind. As within, so without. Everything vibrates. Everything has polarity. Everything flows in rhythm. Every cause has an effect, and every creation carries both the seed and the womb. This is the Hermetic blueprint, the invisible symmetry that shapes every atom of existence. And now, you hold it in your awareness. You can no longer say you didn't know. You can no longer say life is random, because now you see it's perfectly precise. But this revelation is not the end. It is the beginning, because the laws alone are not enough. Knowing is only the first octave. The next is living them. To apply the code in the mundane, in thoughts, relationships, silence, and time. That is the final initiation, and that is where we go next. If you reached this point, you are no longer observing, you are remembering. Comment the phrase, "I am the cause and the effect." Let this be your seal in the field, a declaration that you are no longer moved unconsciously, but moving in awareness with the laws that govern all creation. The 7 laws are not outside you. They are not philosophies to be remembered. They are functions to be embodied. Because Hermetism was never about information, it was about perception. It was never meant to fill the mind, but to turn it inside out. Everything you've heard until now points to one truth. Reality is not what happens to you. It is what happens through you. You are not an observer of the code. You are the code reading itself. Every moment, every breath, every coincidence is communication from the field. The universe does not speak in sentences. It speaks in patterns. It speaks through rhythm, repetition, symbols, and reflection. It speaks in silence, in delay, in echo. And the more you listen, the clearer it becomes that nothing, absolutely nothing, has ever been random. You wake up late and cross paths with someone who changes your day. Cause and effect. You feel restless before a storm. Vibration. You meet a stranger who carries your exact lesson in their words. Correspondence. You lose something only to find yourself. Rhythm. You fall apart and are rebuilt stronger. Polarity. You imagine something deeply, and reality bends to it. Mentalism and gender intertwined. When you learn to read life this way, the entire texture of existence changes. What once felt like chaos reveals itself as choreography. What once felt like punishment becomes feedback. What once felt like coincidence becomes communication. This is the state of the magus, the awakened human. Not someone who controls reality, but someone who reads it accurately, who sees symbols where others see noise, who understands that everything external is a projection of consciousness, waiting to be recognized, integrated, and elevated. To read the code is to stop asking why and start asking, what is this showing me? It's to realize that emotion is not a storm to endure, but a message to decode. That everything you resist persists because it's carrying a lesson. And once you integrate it, it dissolves, because the mirror no longer needs to reflect what's already seen. Look at your life as a text written in light. Every conflict is a sentence. Every repetition, a word underlined by the universe saying, look here. Every delay, a comma meant to slow your rhythm until you can perceive the meaning. When you stop fighting the syntax of existence, you begin to read fluently. You realize there are no mistakes, only mirrors, no enemies, only reflections of energy yet to be harmonized, no chaos, only rhythms you haven't yet learned to dance with. And in that recognition you become free, not from the world but from blindness. Freedom in the Hermetic sense is lucidity, to see law in motion everywhere, to respond consciously instead of reacting mechanically, to see pain as transformation, to see silence as presence, to see death as renewal, to see every encounter as the universe playing itself through you. Because the truth is this, you never left the source. You've only been learning how to see it from within the dream. And the more aware you become, the thinner the dream feels, until it dissolves into pure awareness. At that moment, life becomes magic, not tricks, not rituals of domination, but participation in the unfolding of the cosmic mind, with reverence, precision, and silence. That is what it means to be a Hermetic magician, to align perception so deeply with principle that even ordinary moments glow with pattern. You begin to sense the geometry behind emotions, the music inside events, the divine symmetry and timing, and through that seeing, you heal, not just yourself, but the field. Because awareness is contagious. Each person who awakens stabilizes the collective vibration. Each thought of clarity cleans a fragment of the world's confusion. Each act of coherence becomes a node of light in the mental web of humanity. You are not a spectator of this web. You are a thread in it. And when you vibrate consciously, the entire pattern changes. The Hermetic path doesn't ask for faith, it asks for observation. Look, listen, connect the reflections. Begin to treat reality as a living intelligence that wants to collaborate with you. When you treat life as sacred dialogue, even the smallest events start speaking. The coffee you spill, the stranger who repeats a phrase you just thought, the number that appears again and again, the silence that falls before a decision. These are not accidents. They are correspondences, the field replying to your vibration in real time. When you start living this way, gratitude becomes natural, because you see the choreography, the invisible precision that connects everything. Gratitude is not moral, it's magnetic. It aligns you to higher harmonics of reality. It signals to the field, I see the order, and the field responds, then I will show you more. This is the feedback loop of consciousness and cosmos, the eternal conversation between mind and matter. You think, it responds. You awaken, it expands. You love, it harmonizes. You remember, it mirrors. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be aware, because awareness, not control, is mastery. When you are aware, even suffering becomes alchemy. Even confusion becomes initiation. Even silence becomes revelation. You begin to walk differently, not as someone trying to escape illusion, but as one who understands that illusion is the veil through which truth shines. You no longer fear the unknown, because you've realized the unknown is yourself, unremembered. You no longer chase meaning because meaning is what you are made of, and you no longer pray for answers because every breath is the answer. That is the true Hermetic freedom, to live consciously within law, to create without resistance, to perceive without distortion, to love without demand, to die without fear, because you've finally seen that everything is the same mind, thinking, dreaming, and remembering itself through infinite forms. When you reach this point, your perception becomes sacred sight. You stop interpreting, you start seeing, and the world begins to feel alive again, because you've remembered what it always was, a living mirror of infinite consciousness. You are not outside the code, you are the code awakening to itself. And if you ever doubt this truth, look around you. The reflection will always confirm it, because the universe does not speak, it repeats, until you finally listen. That listening, that still attention, is the beginning of true magic. If this message awakened something in you, if for even a moment you remembered the symmetry behind your life, declare it. Comment below, "I choose awareness." That phrase is your seal, a signal to the field that another mirror has awakened. Don't stop here. The next code awaits. It's not another video, it's the next threshold. The law of mentalism, revealed in depth, will not just explain, it will transform. Because the Hermetic path is not linear, it's a spiral. And this was only your first turn. You've crossed the threshold. You began this journey searching for understanding, and now, the one who searches and the one who observes have become the same. This is the point where the Hermetic map dissolves into the experience itself, where words fall away and only vibration remains. Because all teaching, all law, all symbol, they were never meant to add information. They were meant to remove forgetfulness, to strip away the noise until the silence underneath begins to speak again. That silence is your true teacher. That stillness is the voice of the universe inside you. When you finally listen, you realize it has been guiding you since the beginning, through every loss, every coincidence, every repetition. What looked like confusion was calibration. What felt like delay was timing. What seemed like chaos was design. And every shadow you feared was only light, folded in on itself. You are not the student of the laws. You are their living expression. You are the principle of mentalism in motion, consciousness creating. You are correspondence embodied, the inner world reflected outward. You are vibration incarnate, sound sculpted into form. You are polarity reconciled, light and dark dancing in one heartbeat. You are rhythm embodied, the breath of the cosmos passing through your chest. You are cause and effect conscious, no longer reacting but orchestrating. And you are gender balanced, the seed and the soil, the thought and the manifestation. The Hermetic path was never about reaching the divine. It was about remembering you were never apart from it. You are both the creator and the created, the observer and the observed, the question and the answer. Look at your hands. They are the tools of a mind sculpting the invisible. Look at your breath. It is rhythm in motion, the same rhythm that moves galaxies. Look at your eyes. They are the mirrors through which the universe sees itself. When you walk, you move atoms. When you think, you alter probabilities. When you love, you heal fields. Every conscious act is magic. Every breath is prayer. Every silence is communion. This is what it means to awaken. Not to escape reality, but to perceive its sacred geometry everywhere. To see the laws not as commandments, but as invitations to co-create consciously. Because life was never against you. It was always conversing with you. You just forgot the language. Now you remember. And once remembered, you can never fully forget. From now on, you will see patterns where you once saw problems. You will feel timing where you once felt delay. You will sense symmetry where you once saw chaos. Because awareness cannot unsee itself. This is the Hermetic state. To walk through the world as the world walks through you. To act with intention, to rest with purpose, to speak knowing that sound becomes structure. To see in every face a reflection, and in every reflection a fragment of the infinite mind. The awakened one does not need to dominate reality. He aligns with it. He listens. He allows the rhythm to carry him instead of resisting it. He trusts law because he is law in motion. The true magus doesn't perform miracles. He recognizes that everything already is one. He doesn't seek power. He embodies coherence. He doesn't manipulate matter. He remembers that matter is thought slowed down enough to touch. You have now crossed from knowledge into vibration. You have not learned the Hermetic code. You have remembered it. And memory is awakening. So the question now is no longer, what are the laws? But how will I live them? When you breathe, breathe consciously. When you speak, do so with precision. When you act, do so in awareness. And when you rest, let stillness become communion. That is the ritual of the awakened. That is the true alchemy. Not turning metal into gold, but turning life itself into consciousness. Pause for a moment. Listen. The same silence that began this journey now vibrates differently, because it vibrates through you. You are the instrument. Tuned. You are the temple. Lit. You are the alchemist. Awake. From this moment, every step you take echoes through the field. You are not walking in the world is walking with you. The mirror has turned, and what once reflected confusion now reflects clarity. What once seemed external now feels intimate, because you have remembered what Hermes whispered long ago: all is mind. The journey never ends, it spirals. Every insight leads to a deeper octave of awareness. Every awakening reveals another veil to lift, and the spiral continues, endlessly expanding, endlessly remembering. You are now part of that spiral, a frequency woven into the fabric of consciousness, and your only task now is to stay awake. This is the final initiation of this cycle, but not the end. Only another beginning, another turn, another reflection. Because truth does not conclude, it resonates. If you made it this far, you didn't just watch, you remembered. Declare it in the comments. I choose awareness. Let that phrase be your seal, your alignment with the field. If this journey awakened something in you, even a single vibration of truth, do not stop here. The next code awaits, the law of mentalism, decoded. It is not just the continuation, it is the return to the beginning, the first spiral of consciousness revisited with new eyes, because the Hermetic path is not a line, it is a loop of awakening, each turn revealing what the last could not yet hold. So breathe once more, feel the rhythm of the cosmos move through you. And remember, the mirror is always speaking. Listen, because awareness itself is the magnum opus.